What if I told you that right now, somewhere in your city, a stranger is alive because of something you did, and you have absolutely no idea? My name is Scout, and I've witnessed something that will change how you see every small act of kindness for the rest of your life. For 3 years, I watched from the shadows as an ordinary woman performed a simple daily ritual. 7 paper bags. Same time every morning. She thought no one was watching. She was wrong. What she didn't know was that 20 feet away, a man sat with a notebook full of goodbye letters. And her paper bags were the only things standing between him and the railroad bridge. But here's the part that will give you chills. She still doesn't know. Even now, 5 years later, she has no idea that her forgotten routine saved a life. And the story of how I learned this secret, well, that's where things get really interesting. I am Scout, though that's not the name I was born with. I'm a 6-year-old mutt, golden retriever mixed with something the humans call street wisdom. For 3 years, I lived in the narrow alley behind Murphy's Market, surviving on scraps and the kindness of strangers. My world was measured in footsteps, voices, and the patterns people create when they think no one's paying attention. The market sits at the intersection of 2 worlds. The bustling main street where people rush past with coffee cups and briefcases, and the quiet residential blocks where life moves slower. It's here, in this in-between space, that the most honest human moments unfold. Every morning at exactly 7:30 a.m., she appears. Edith Morrison, though I wouldn't learn her name until much later. 72 years old, silver hair always pinned back neatly, wearing cardigans that smell like lavender and loneliness. She walks with purpose but never hurry, carrying a canvas bag that's seen better decades. Edith lives alone in the blue house 3 blocks east. I know because I followed her once, curious about where kindness goes to rest. Her children moved away years ago, Philadelphia and Seattle. I overheard her tell Mrs. Chun at the market. Christmas cards and birthday calls, but no visits. The kind of distance that geography can't explain. Every morning, she buys day-old bread from Murphy's. For the birds, she tells young Marcus behind the counter, but birds don't eat that much bread. She portions it carefully into small paper bags, adding an apple here, a granola bar there. Sometimes, when she thinks no one's looking, she slips in a $5 bill. Her routine never varies. 7 bags, placed strategically around the market area. 1 by the bus stop bench, 1 near the library steps, others in spots that seem random unless you understand the invisible map of human need. But as I watched this daily ceremony unfold, something nagged at me. Why 7 bags? Why those specific locations? And why did she always glance toward the library steps before walking away, as if waiting for something that never came? Little did I know, I was about to discover that kindness has its own invisible language, and some people are fluent in ways that would astound you. Then came the morning that changed everything I thought I knew about the purpose of bread bags and small kindnesses. It was early October, the kind of gray Tuesday that makes people walk faster and avoid eye contact. I was nosing around the dumpster behind the pharmacy when I saw him. A man I'd noticed before but never really observed. Gregory, though I wouldn't know his name for years. Mid-40s, weathered hands, eyes that held conversations with ghosts. He'd been coming to the market area for weeks, always carrying a worn backpack and a sleeping bag that had seen too many storms. Unlike others who gathered around the warm air vents or asked for change, Gregory kept to himself. He'd sit on the concrete ledge behind the community bulletin board, writing in a small notebook with intense concentration. That Tuesday morning, I watched him unwrap one of Edith's bread bags with hands that shook, not from cold, but from something deeper. Inside was a turkey sandwich, a banana, and tucked beneath the food, one of those $5 bills. But it wasn't the money that made him stop breathing for a moment. It was the note. Hope your day gets brighter. A friend. I've seen humans cry before. Angry tears, frustrated tears, tears of pain. But Gregory's tears were different. They fell slow and silent, like rain on summer dust. He held that small piece of paper, like it contained the secret to breathing. What I discovered next would shatter everything I thought I understood about the power of anonymous kindness. You see, Gregory wasn't just another homeless man seeking shelter and food. There was something darker driving his daily routine. Something that made him choose the library steps over all the other locations where Edith left her bags. And it had everything to do with what happened every evening when the market area emptied and the shadows grew long. But what happened next revealed something that still gives me chills to this day. Every evening, as the market area emptied, Gregory would walk to the railroad bridge that crossed Miller Creek. He'd stand there for long minutes, notebook in hand, staring down at the dark water 20 feet below. And slowly, methodically, he'd tear out page after page, letting them flutter down into the creek like white birds that couldn't fly. On the fourth night, I finally understood what those pages contained. They weren't random thoughts or journal entries. They were goodbye letters, the kind humans write when they've decided that tomorrow is one too many. All except one page, which he kept folded in his pocket, right next to Edith's daily note. Now here's where the story takes a turn that no one, not even I, could have predicted. The pattern became clear to me over the following weeks. Every morning, Gregory would collect Edith's bread bag, always the one she placed by the library steps, as if she somehow knew he'd be there. Every evening, he'd walk to the bridge, notebook in hand. But something remarkable began to happen. Increasingly, he'd turn around before reaching the railing. He'd unfold that small note, read it again, and walk back toward town. Hope your day gets brighter. 6 words that a lonely woman wrote without knowing she was writing a daily permission slip for someone to keep existing. But the real transformation was yet to come, and it would happen in a way that would change both of their lives forever. November brought the first real cold snap, and I watched Edith adapt her routine. She began adding hand warmers to the bread bags, tiny chemical packets that would provide 4 hours of heat. For Gregory, those hand warmers meant 4 more hours of warmth, for more hours of postponing the walk to the bridge, for more hours of choosing to stay. Then came December 15th, a date that would mark the beginning of something extraordinary. Inside his bread bag that morning was something that would change everything. Along with the usual food, Edith had included a pair of wool gloves, clearly hand-knitted, and a note that was longer than usual. The library has a warm reading room that's open until 8 p.m. Librarians are kind people who understand that everyone needs a quiet place sometimes. Stay warm. A friend. That was the first time I saw Gregory smile. Really smile. And what happened next would prove that sometimes the smallest gestures create the biggest transformations. Winter deepened, and with it came a transformation I never expected to witness. Gregory started taking better care of himself, using the library's restroom to clean up, checking out books on carpentry and job skills. The goodbye letters completely disappeared from his notebook, replaced by job applications and hopeful sketches of small apartment floor plans. By March, something miraculous had happened. Gregory found work, part-time maintenance at the community center, but steady. He moved into a studio apartment 6 blocks from the market. But here's what amazed me most. He still came every morning for Edith's bread bag. Not because he needed the food anymore, but because he needed the reminder that kindness exists without conditions. And through all of this incredible transformation, Edith still had no idea what her daily ritual had accomplished. She had no clue that her anonymous notes were being treasured in a small box beside Gregory's bed like prayers made tangible. But fate had one more twist in store, one that would bring their invisible connection into the light in the most unexpected way. Then came April 23rd, 2019, the morning that would change everything and reveal the true power of what had been growing in secret all along. I was trailing Gregory on his usual route when we both noticed something that sent a chill through the morning air. Edith wasn't at Murphy's Market at 7:30. For the first time in over a year, the bread bags weren't being prepared. Gregory waited. 8 a.m. came and went. 8:30. By 9 o'clock, I could see that familiar darkness creeping back into his eyes. The same expression I'd seen that first October morning when he'd calculated distances to bridges. But what happened next revealed something that still gives me goosebumps. Instead of walking away, instead of retreating into despair, Gregory did something that surprised us both. He walked into Murphy's Market and asked young Marcus behind the counter about the lady who buys bread for the birds. Mrs. Morrison? Haven't seen her in 3 days, Marcus replied, suddenly concerned. She never misses a day. Never. What unfolded next would prove that anonymous kindness doesn't just save lives. It creates invisible bonds strong enough to transcend time and circumstance. Gregory asked for Edith's address, and as I followed him and Marcus to that blue house 3 blocks east, I realized I was about to witness something extraordinary. The moment when a secret guardian angel would finally meet the life she'd saved. They found Edith collapsed in her hallway, victim of a stroke that had stolen her speech but left her mind intact. The paramedics said she'd been there for 2 days, too weak to reach the phone. At the hospital, Gregory never left the waiting room. When the doctors asked about next of kin, he provided phone numbers for Philadelphia and Seattle. Information Edith had mentioned in conversations she thought were private, conversations only I had witnessed from my hiding spots in the market. And here's where this story becomes something that defies everything you think you know about the power of paying attention. Edith's children arrived from Philadelphia and Seattle, expecting to find their mother alone and forgotten. Instead, they found Gregory, a man they'd never heard of who somehow knew their mother's favorite hymns, her fears about burdening others, her pride in their distant successes. You see, Gregory had been listening all along, not just to the words in her notes, but to the woman behind them. During his months of morning visits to collect bread bags, he'd observed everything. How she favored her left hip, how she hummed while portioning food, how she'd pause at the community bulletin board to read about lost pets and found hope. The rehabilitation was slow. Edith's speech returned gradually, her mobility partially. But what returned fully was her sense of purpose. Because Gregory had a proposal that would multiply their invisible miracle. He wanted to expand the bread bag ministry. Not just 7 bags, but 70. Not just one person giving anonymously, but a network of quiet givers creating a safety net for those balancing on the edge of despair. And when Edith finally learned the truth, when she discovered that her small daily kindness had quite literally saved a life, well, that's when this story transformed into something that would touch hundreds of lives in ways they're still discovering today. Edith wept when she learned the whole truth. She discovered that Gregory had spent months researching her favorite things, lavender soap, mystery novels, Earl Grey tea, because he wanted to return kindness in the very currency she taught him, anonymous care. Together, they created something beautiful. Gregory moved into the small apartment above Edith's garage, close enough to help, far enough to maintain dignity. He became her hands when arthritis made bread bagging difficult. She became his proof that the world contained more light than darkness. But what happened next exceeded even their wildest dreams. Their morning routine evolved into something extraordinary. Instead of one woman with 7 bags, it became a team with 70. Other people noticed. You can't hide that much purposeful kindness forever. The bread bag ministry grew into a community network feeding not just the homeless, but the elderly, the recently laid off, the quietly struggling. And that's when I realized something profound. I was witnessing the birth of a revolution. A quiet revolution that started with paper bags and anonymous notes, but had grown into something that would ripple outward in ways that are still being discovered today. Which brings me to why I'm telling you this story now. Today, 5 years later, I have a real name and a real home. Gregory adopted me after Edith suggested that every good ministry needs a faithful companion. I sleep in a bed that smells like lavender fabric softener and wake to the sound of humans who've learned that the secret to healing the world lives in paper bags and anonymous notes. Every morning at 7:30, I watch Gregory and Edith prepare their rounds. 70 bags now, distributed by 12 volunteers who understand that kindness multiplies when it travels in silence. The community bulletin board holds thank you notes from people who'll never know who saved them, addressed to angels they'll never meet. Gregory still keeps that first note in his wallet. Hope your day gets brighter. A friend. But now he writes his own notes, tucked into bags distributed by volunteers who learned from Edith that the most powerful kindness asks for nothing in return. And here's what I've learned from watching this love story unfold between two souls who found each other through breadcrumbs and hope. The kindness you offer in secret doesn't disappear. It travels through time, creating ripples that touch shores you'll never see. Every anonymous gesture creates a thread in an invisible web that catches people when they fall. Edith still doesn't fully understand the magnitude of what she started. She sees the expanded ministry, the thank you cards, the lives obviously changed. But she doesn't see the nights when strangers choose bridges for scenic walks instead of final destinations. The mornings when people decide to stay instead of leaving. The countless small resurrections that happen daily because someone decided that anonymous kindness was purpose enough for a Tuesday morning. And if you're wondering whether your own small acts of kindness really matter, let me tell you something from the perspective of someone who watches everything. Somewhere, someone is carrying your kindness in their pocket like a permission slip to keep breathing. The truth is this. You don't need to know someone's name to save their life. You don't need to witness gratitude to change the world. You just need to believe that somewhere, someone needs exactly the kind of kindness only you can give. Maybe it's a bread bag with a $5 bill. Maybe it's a handwritten note tucked into a library book. Maybe it's something so small you'll forget it by dinner time. But here's what I promise you. They won't forget. And neither will the quiet witnesses like me, who know that the most important stories in this world are written in invisible ink, read by lonely hearts, and archived in the memories of creatures who understand that love looks different when no one's watching. So as you go about your day tomorrow, remember, you might be carrying someone's miracle in your pocket and never know it. And sometimes, that's exactly how miracles are supposed to work. In secret, in silence, in the space between strangers who become guardian angels without ever learning each other's names.